Okay, here we go.
Hello, my name's LouAnn Houchin. I'm from Gothenburg, Nebraska. I'm a fourth generation Gothenburg Swede, and I'm going to tell you about the Pony Express station. This is known as a weigh station or a relay station. Are you guys familiar with track when there's a relay and you pass the baton on to the next runner? Well, this is what they passed on. It's called the mochila, and it is Mexican for knapsack or backpack. It's actually a flat piece of leather that fits over the saddle. And so when the rider came to the next station like this, they would take this mochila and they'd flip it on a horse, a brand new fresh horse that was ready to run, and they'd run about 10 or 15 miles to the next station, and they'd trade a fresh horse then. They'd do this about 8 or 9 times a day, whatever, until they went about 65 or 70 miles, and then they'd stop at their hotel or their home station. And they would stay there, and they would wait for the rider to come back. So they rode the same route back and forth and back and forth. Just like a bus driver has his own route, then they would have their own route. That way they were familiar with the dangers of the area. If there was a snowstorm here in Nebraska or something, hopefully the horse knew how to get back to the station, because sometimes they did get lost. There was 195 stations throughout the trail from St. Joe, Missouri to Sacramento, California. It's about 2,000 miles of route, and they could make it in 10 days or less.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty fast. The fastest run they ever made was 7 days and 17 hours, and they were carrying President Lincoln's inaugural speech, and that was a very important run for them. Only one rider was ever killed, supposedly, but the people that were at stations like this were sitting ducks because they had the good horses and the supplies, and they would get raided by bandits or Indians or something, and sometimes killed. So they were in the more
So that was
dangerous
more
area.
dangerous than actually doing the
It kinda
riding.
was. Yes. A little bit of
And here you are,
politics.
you brave soul.
I know, waiting for the first bandit to come in. So the guys that started the Pony Express, there's actually a little bit of politics involved in that too, just like everything else. One of the partners was friends with a California senator, and they were kind of tired of getting their mail, in 2 or 3 weeks. They wanted a little faster route, so this man proposed, I think we can do it across the country instead of going down through Texas and Arizona. I think we can do that in 10 days or less if we just do it like a relay thing. So they proposed that, and within 67 days they got this up and running, which I think is fabulous.
Wow.
You can't even build a garage.
What year
in
was
60.
that?
1860.
1860,
And it only
okay.
lasted 18 months.
Really?
Yes. And they
Oh.
knew it was going to be short-lived, but they were sort of trying to keep an eye on California also to see if it was going to secede from the Union or not. And so they knew it was going to be taken over by the Telegraph or Railroad pretty soon. So it was a short adventure, but it was very expensive because they bought really good horses and they paid the men very well because it was dangerous. They advertised for young, skinny, wiry fellas willing to risk death daily, and orphans preferred. Of course, the horse wanted them 125 pounds or less, so that was also a requirement. The youngest rider was 10 or 11, they say,
Wow.
and went up to 40-something, but most of the riders were in their young 20s.
Mm-hmm.
So
Wow. Well, and could you tell us about this particular station?
this particular station was actually 2 doors down, is what I call it. We have one south of town. This is the building south of town that's Gothenburg's Midway Station. That is either the only one in Nebraska still standing in its original spot, or the only one in the nation that's still a building. And this is the same building with the Oregon Trail in the foreground during the Pony Express days. So we actually have 2. This is our adopted station from basically Maxwell or Fort McPherson down the road. So they took it apart piece by piece, the Legion Club, and the walls are all original, the support beams are original, but the ceiling was new in 1931. So otherwise,
1931.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, it was new in 31. I'm thinking, oh, that's almost 100 years ago.
Yeah.
So,
And there was a stable underneath.
this building could have been the top part to that building there. Yes.
So
Yes.
you would have to have fresh horses.
Exactly. Yep. So that's about all for the Pony Express.
Well, thank
You're
you.
welcome. And if you post that on YouTube,
Yes.
I will put you down.
You'll what? I'll be right there. Okay, now you heard it.
Now you're